What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Baddog back with another New York Giants video. As always, appreciate you taking time to click on the video. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. It helps me out big. If you like this type of content and want to help me out, I can talk. Help me out, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We always have great rants on here when it comes to the Giants. We also love to talk about the Giants in a much more calmer fashion when there is no game to be played. So check that out. Also, smash the shit out of the hype button because it must do something. I think we got like 40,000 hype points in the last video, so let's just keep that up. Today, I want to talk about the New York Giants. They fired Brian Daboll and the head coaching situation going forward. We'll do that right after we hear from our sponsor of the video, Brunt Boots. Living up here in the Northeast, man, winter's on the way, and winter is tough. No doubt about it. You're going to have to go out there, shovel your driveway, shovel and brush your car off. You're going to want your feet to stay warm and dry. You're not going to want them to get soaking wet. That's why I'm happy to announce today's sponsor of the video, Brunt Boots. I have the Marin boots right here. They're very comfortable. With temps dropping and the holidays coming up, it's time to treat yourself or the hard work and managing to life to real comfort. Skip the throwaway gifts and get them something built to last. Brunt Workwear. Our listeners get $10 off their entire order with the promo code BADDOG at checkout. That's bruntworker.com. Use the promo code BADDOG to get $10 off your order today. And let them know you heard it here on the show. And I can tell you, man, from coming into the winter when I shovel the driveway, my socks are soaking wet, my feet are freezing cold, and it's just very uncomfortable. That's why I love these Marin boots. They're very comfortable right out of the box. It doesn't take any time to break them in. They're lightweight, they're waterproof, they're slip and oil resistant, they're heat resistant. They're going to keep your feet at a nice temperature all the way through. You can finally have durable work boots that are as comfortable as your sneakers. So join over 500,000 customers by getting Brunt Boots. Let you try the boots on the job, and all their products have free shipping. Plus, Brunt drops brand new limited edition styles all month long. These styles won't be around for long, so make sure you check back all month to get your Brunt Boots. So obviously with Brian Daboll being fired, the big question is now, who do the Giants bring in as their next head coach? Mike McCarthy is going to take over the head coaching duties for the last 7 games of the year. Our GM is still in place. Our dumbass defensive coordinator is still here. I think the first order of business for Mike McCarthy would be to fire Shane Bowen. I think he's been terrible. I was actually surprised that the Giants didn't get rid of Shane Bowen first. It was his defense, after all, that collapsed in all these games against Chicago, against Dallas at the end of the game with 18 seconds to go, and, of course, against Denver, the big one that we blew a 19-point lead going into the fourth quarter, an 18-point lead with about 5 minutes to go in that game. Inexcusable. The defense has been very underwhelming and has not come close to living up to any kind of expectation we thought it would be with Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, who's played like the Defensive Player of the Year, Kayvon Thibodeau is having one of his best seasons, and of course the rookie Abdul Carter. So you also added Paulson, Adebo, and Javon Holland to the secondary. You thought it'd be a lot better. The defense is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the league. That is an indictment on Shane Bowen. Anyway, let's get into the head coaching candidates. Now, I'm on Twitter a lot, and follow me on Twitter, by the way. Link will be in the description. Follow me on Twitter. We're trying to get to 12,000 followers. That's a big deal. If we could get that, that'd be great. But I've put these names out there. There's a few names I definitely hear all the time. Two of the most popular ones are Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, I love Bill. I'm an old guy. I grew up in the 80s. I remember Bill Belichick's massive defenses of the 80s. Obviously, he had some of the greatest talent. Lawrence Taylor's the greatest defensive player ever. That helps. Carl Banks should be in the Hall of Fame. He was a fantastic player, one of the best run defenders you've ever seen in your life. He had a Hall of Famer in Harry Carson. He had the most underrated edge rusher on the Giants ever, maybe the most underrated Giants player ever in Leonard Marshall. He also had Gary Reasons, Pepper Johnson. He had a really good squad, but that defense was unbelievable. Obviously, he went to New England. He won 6 Super Bowls. That's pretty damn good. But Bill Belichick's going to be 75 years old. How long do you think Bill Belichick wants to coach? I just don't think it'd be a good idea. Bill Belichick, 20 years ago, sure. Obviously, he was in New England, but after they fired Tom Coughlin, if you wanted to bring in Bill Belichick in 2016, I'd have been all about that. Okay? That obviously did not happen. I just feel like he's too old, and I don't want Bill Belichick as head coach of the New York Giants. I just don't. Sometimes people have nostalgia and they long for better days, and we understand. So Bill Belichick obviously had a lot to do with our success, and he's been very successful in his career. He's a name that pops up. Another name is Steve Spagnuolo. Now maybe Steve Spagnuolo does become the head coach of the New York Giants. He had a stint here, but obviously they fired Jerry Reese after that year, and they just cleaned house. So he never really had an opportunity. Maybe he would want to be the head coach of the New York Giants. Maybe he wants to stay put in a good situation in Kansas City where he makes a lot of money as a defense coordinator. He's winning a championship every year, it seems like. So, he's in a good situation there. Antonio Pierce is another one. He did a really good job with Vegas's defense. But again, how good of a head coach would Antonio Pierce be? Yeah, I know he was part of our Super Bowl championship teams, and he's a very popular name. I'd love him as maybe a defensive coordinator. I don't know that I'm ready for him to be a head coach. John Gruden is very popular. John Gruden has a great football mind. He has great energy. He loves football. He's got a passion for football. Reminds me a lot of the late, great John Madden and his attitude towards the game of football. And obviously, he gained a lot of notoriety with his interview with Jackson Dart, his love for Jackson Dart. He thinks Jackson Dart is a great player, and we've seen Jackson Dart be a great player with very bad circumstances here with the Giants. He's got a very bright future. People really like Gruden, but again, for me, I wouldn't kill it, but Gruden hasn't coached in a really long time. Does Gruden really want to go back to coaching? I'm sure he makes a nice bag working for Barstool Sports. Does he really want to come back and put in all those hours just to coach Jackson Dart? I mean, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Again, I wouldn't kill the idea, but he's certainly not my favorite guy. Lane Kiffin is another guy. Obviously, coached Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, but again, he had a very bad... He was so bad in the NFL, I forgot he actually coached in the NFL. And some guys are just meant to be college football coaches. You need look no further than Nick Saban. He was terrible in Miami, but he was one of the greatest coaches ever with Alabama. So people call him the college, the college equivalent of Bill Belichick. So Lane Kiffin, again, I wouldn't kill it, but I really would like a guy that has more NFL head coaching experience. We have had bad situations with coordinators. Okay, McAdoo was a coordinator, sucked, right? McAdoo is probably the smartest coach we've had in the last 10 years. He wanted Pat Mahomes. Jerry Reese told him no. And McAdoo gave a big fuck you to the Giants on the way out when he benched Eli Manning. McAdoo was a failure. Pat Shurmur was a failure, right? Offensive coordinator, failure. He was 9-23 here. He was never a good head coach either. Had some head coaching experience. He was a terrible head coach. He was a good coordinator. He was a bad head coach. He was a bad head coach here. Joe Judge was a fucking special teams guy. He brought him in here. I liked his opening press conference. He sold me a bill of goods and I bought it, but you could tell he was in over his head. Couldn't be a head coach. It was 10-23 years. Terrible. Although all three of those guys got 2 years. Brian Daboll got 3.5, and I think that Daboll got extra time because he won a playoff game for the Giants in the first time in 10 years. And he got Daniel Jones paid a lot of money because of the way he ran the offense. So Daboll, I think, got a little extra long leash because of that. And I really liked Daboll better than the other three guys that came before him. And I was rooting for Daboll, and I stuck up for Daboll a lot. But when you go 2-8, 3 straight seasons, it had to be done. Daboll was done. The players are done. It just had to happen. So obviously, he was gone. Another big name, and I guess this is the betting favorite, is Mike McCarthy. Now, a lot of Giants fans, when I put it on Twitter, said, hell no. Actually, it seemed like every coach that I put on Twitter said, what do you think, yay or nay? They all said nay. Like, nobody liked any of the coaches I put on there. That was Belichick, that was Gruden, that was Kiffin, and it was McCarthy. I'm going to put McCarthy up there today. Mike McCarthy's my favorite out of the bunch. And I'm going to tell you why. Before you kill me, let me explain why. Mike McCarthy has a really good body of work. You could say he should have won more Super Bowls with Aaron Rodgers, and maybe he should have. But let's take a look at some of the other great coaches that if they became available, Giants fans are like, I'd take him in a heartbeat. Mike Tomlin. How many Super Bowls has Mike Tomlin won? How many times has Pittsburgh exited in the playoffs? But people say, I'd take Mike Tomlin in a heartbeat. John Harbaugh. How many Super Bowls has John Harbaugh won? How many times are they getting knocked out of the playoffs early in the postseason? But if he is available, most Giants fans are like, give me John Harbaugh. Mike McCarthy's in that vein, in my opinion. Mike McCarthy was a big part of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was going to succeed regardless. He was incredibly talented, but Mike McCarthy had a big part in that. Mike McCarthy has worked with good quarterbacks. He worked with Aaron Rodgers. He did win a Super Bowl. Green Bay was in the playoffs every year. He went to Dallas. They won 12 games every year, except for maybe one. I think Dak got hurt. They didn't win 12 games that year. But obviously, Dak had really good seasons. Dak is just not a very good postseason quarterback. But McCarthy wins games. And he won a Super Bowl. Again, look at those other coaches. They've had good bodies of work, but they're not in the Super Bowl every year. They're not making the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl. It's not happening. It's hard to win a damn Super Bowl. Okay? A lot of that has to do with roster construction, because you'd be hard-pressed to tell me that any of the coaches I mentioned, Harbaugh, Tomlin, McCarthy, are worse than Sirianni. I think Sirianni's a shitty-ass head coach, but I just think that team is just full of talent. That's a Howie Roseman thing, not a Nick Sirianni thing. The Giants just have to get back to winning fucking football games here. Is McCarthy going to put us over the top and we're going to win a Super Bowl, Mike McCarthy? Maybe not. But it would be nice to have a guy that knows football, that has a winning culture, that knows how to hire good coordinators, that understands how to win regular season games, because that is something the Giants can't fucking do over the last decade, is win regular season games. Before we start thinking about Super Bowls and winning postseason games and all this other shit, we have to get there. McCarthy can get us there. And then you take your chances. You can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. You can't win a Super Bowl if you don't win regular season games. So, in my estimation, I know some guys love it and some guys don't, and you're going to find that with every coach that is mentioned. There's not 100% of Giants fans aren't going to agree on a head coach. That's going to be impossible. But in my opinion, I think Mike McCarthy is the safest pick of all of them. I think he's safe. I think it's a good move. I think he'd be good for Jackson Dart. I think he would get winning culture back with the Giants. And I think he brings the Giants back to relevancy. If Mike McCarthy was our head coach this year, we do not lose in New Orleans. We don't lose in Dallas. We don't lose in Denver. We don't lose in Chicago. 4 games. Flip them. We're not 2-8 at that point. We're 6-4 against one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, with a rookie quarterback who has not had his best wide receiver at all this year, and obviously hasn't had Scatterboo the last couple of games. So, in my opinion, again, it's just my opinion. You can agree or disagree. It's cool. That's what we do. I think Mike McCarthy's the safest bet. I think he's the best bet. And if Mike Kafka doesn't have a really good last 7 games, because if Kafka has a good 7 games, if they go 4-3 or 5-2, he's definitely somebody you got to consider keeping here, because, again, familiarity with Jackson Dart. You'd have to consider it. But if things keep going the way they're going and we go 2-5 and he's fired, and I like Mike McCarthy. That'd be my guy. Anyway, as always, if you made it this far, appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, like it, subscribe. Let me know who you want to be the head coach of the Giants in 2026. And I'll see you in the next one. It's a bad dig dizzle. I'm out. Peace.